Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Piledriver Weekly. My name is Electric Eric Davidson, and this is my co-host, Mr. Ace Larson. After taking a week off for the Memorial Day weekend, we are back in full force. We got a lot to cover this week, so I'm going to try to keep it brief here, but as usual, we're going to start things off with OVW. Okay, this week's OVW coming from the Davis Arena in Louisville, Kentucky, as usual. You see the Coalition backstage planning their revenge for what's been going on in the last couple weeks with Michael Hayes and everything. We go straight into a singles match after that between Marcus Anthony, who just made his return last week, against Adam Revolver. And Marcus Anthony, impressive physique and everything. Now, I believe Adam Revolver is the better wrestler, but looks like they're going to try and give Marcus Anthony a push here. He gets the win over Adam Revolver. Then we go on to OVW women's title match. The champion Trina defending against the former champion Epiphany. And once again, Epiphany pretty much dominates the entire match, but then, you know, with one powerful move at the end there, Trina wins and retains the title. Then we get an interview. All through the previous matches, Michael Titus had been bragging how he had a huge surprise coming up. Well, he has an interview with Michael Hayes and his new tag team partner, Muhammad Ali Vaez, who, you know, these guys used to be bitter rivals. Ali Vaez, he actually stole Michael's prosthetic leg and everything, and yeah, they had a heated rivalry there for about a year. But I think it's kind of one of them things, being rivals kind of made them respect each other, but they've teamed up to take on the Coalition. The Coalition attacks them, but they fight them off. Then we have an OVW television title match. Randy Royal defending against Paradise. Paradise, I believe, a four-time former champion. Randy Royal gets the win here. It's a pretty decent match. And Tony Gunn, of course, was out with Randy, and they're still playing the whole, Tony Gunn doesn't like the way he's winning, kind of underhanded, whatever. Then we get a non-title triple threat match. Jesse Goddard against the champion Jamin Olivencia and Jay Bradley. A pretty good match here. It went on for several minutes. Jesse Goddard sneaks in the victory. He actually did look like an RKO on Jamin Olivencia. So that's how that match ended. And then the Coalition comes out and attacks everybody after the match. Then Hayes and Vaez make the save. Then challenge Wayne and Crimson, but they get jumped from behind and they throw a net on them. And the Coalition beats them down as OVW goes off the air. There were some backstage things that I kind of skipped over there because we're trying to get through it quick here this week. Not wanting to cut OVW short, but we want to spend some time on the pay-per-view that TNA had this week, which was fantastic, by the way. But we'll get to that here shortly. But that does it for OVW this week. And don't forget, every week they do their TV tapings Wednesday nights at the Davis Arena, 4400 Shepherdsville Road. Make it out if you can. It's only like $5 to get in. 6:30 they open the doors. 7:30 bell time. Like I said, fun, cheap night out. And if you can't make it to the matches, check them out on the WBNA 21 noon on Saturdays, or they replay it. I think is it 9 or 10 on Wednesday nights, something like that. Yeah. But anyhow, lots of different ways you can catch OVW. You can also watch their episodes online at ovwrestling.com. But that does it for OVW, and next we're going to move on to Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor. Okay, this week's Ring of Honor, once again from Toronto, Canada. our first match is QT Marshall and RD Evans versus Tadarius Thomas and ACH versus Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander, the CNC Wrestling Factory, in a top contenders triple threat match. The winner of this one will get a shot at the tag titles. Pretty good match here. I'm not going to lie, though. As much as I wanted to just totally love it, it was a bit of a train wreck. I think just too many guys in the ring at once and too many things going on. And, you know, I'm not one to criticize Ring of Honor at all, but it almost felt a little too, you know, choreographed at times. But, you know, it was still really entertaining. Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander get the win here. Then we see a little bit of Mark Briscoe, and he's saying, you know, he will beat Jay, but first they got to take on the American Wolves next week. Him and Jay are, you know, Jay standing there with him, kind of rolling his eyes the whole time, but
he's a champion.
Yeah. Then we. We had a segment with Nigel McGuinness, Michael Elgin, and Paul London. And, you know, Paul London had a legit concussion there. Yeah. And, but basically Nigel's just out there kind of hyping those guys up, whatever. And Tommaso Ciampa comes out, and Elgin, like, sorry, I lost my spot here. Not Whitmer. RD Evans was out there talking smack, and the crowd was chanting, you know, shave your mustache, shave your mustache. But anyhow, Elgin threw him to Ciampa, and Ciampa, you know, destroyed him. And then Elgin tries to leave, and Ciampa, you know, kind of jerks him back into the ring. They kind of face off, so it's looking like they're kind of setting up something there between those two.
That could be good.
Yeah.
Love Elgin a lot.
Yeah, Elgin's good, real good. But yeah, sorry, I kind of stumbled there on that one. And then we have another triple threat match, which is BJ Whitmer versus Mike Bennett, with Maria looking as lovely as ever.
That's what he was getting all worked up about.
Yeah, and Jay Lethal. And Maria got on commentary here. And I tell you, not only does she look great, man, her voice could melt lead. She even sounds hot.
You're still recovering from it, aren't you?
Yeah. And the winner of this one gets a shot at the television title at Best in the World. Pretty good. It wasn't great, though, there again. This whole episode was kind of
average.
Yeah, and only, you know, a couple matches, and yeah, it wasn't as good as it really should have been with a three-way between those three guys, especially, you know, Whitmer and Lethal. But like I said, I did enjoy Maria on commentary. Lethal gets the win here, and after the match, Maria, like, accuses Whitmer of saying something dirty to her, which he didn't say anything to her, and she knew that. She was just setting him up, and Mike Bennett attacks him, and that's about it for Ring of Honor this week. Like I said, it was kind of off, really, for a Ring of Honor episode.
We'll give him a pass.
It wasn't a whole lot going on there. But that's all right because I was trying to keep it brief there anyhow.
Now on to Impact.
Yeah, now we go to Impact. Impact. All right. TNA Impact from Tampa, Florida. Start out with some recaps. Then we see the Aces and Eights backstage bitching about AJ Styles. Then, as they're all getting ready to walk out, Anderson attacks D'Lo from behind and beats the crap out of him. So I don't know if that means D'Lo's out for sure now or what. I don't know, I guess. They didn't really say. Then Devon and Bully Ray are out to the ring. Bully talks about Slammiversary coming up, talks about Sting, and challenges Sting and Joseph Park tonight. And out they come. So we get the match, Sting and Joseph Park versus Team 3D, basically. Bully Ray and Devon. Starts out as a brawl, and then it turns into a slow-paced, pretty boring match, I'm not going to lie. It appears the Dudleys are going to get the win here. Sorry, they're still the Dudleys to me. And then Abyss's music hits. And, of course, they're all like, oh, my God, and looking up the ramp and everything. Abyss never comes out, but it causes the distraction. And it allows Sting to get the Scorpion Death Drop on Devon. And Sting and Park get the victory there. Then we see Kurt Angle backstage bitching about AJ Styles. Dixie Carter comes out, and she's talking about Slammiversary, and she talks about the Hall of Fame and TNA, turning 11 years old, and she wishes Sting luck in his upcoming match with Bully Ray. Then the Aces and Eights come out. Bischoff gets on the mic and asks where the love is for the Aces and Eights. They start to surround Dixie. Who knows what they're planning on doing. But then out come Joe and Magnus for the save. Joe challenges Bischoff, and we get the match right away. Joe dominates here, but the Aces interfere, getting Bischoff DQ'd. Joe gets on the mic afterwards and says this Sunday, Doc, Bischoff, and Briscoe will have to take on Joe, Magnus, and guess who? Jeff Hardy. Then we get a recap of Gunner becoming James Storm's partner. And then we see Brooke Hogan and Hulk arguing backstage about Bully Ray because it seems like she's starting to be suckered in by how he's still saying he loves her and all that stuff.
But is she really being suckered in?
Right. Is she really already with him? Either way, she's going to end up with the Aces and Eights. I've been saying this for a long time, and they're starting to show more and more signs that I'm right. Then we get an 8-man tag. Bad Influence teaming up with Rude and Aries against Chavo, Hernandez, Storm, and Gunner. Nice match here. Real good match. Gunner wins it with the torture rack on Austin Aries. Then we see Styles arriving to the building on his motorcycle. Then we see the Aces and Eights backstage doing some more bitching. Bully says they are declaring war officially and says he wants victims, blah, blah, blah. Then we see a spot for Bound for Glory. And sorry if I seem like I'm rushing through this. I don't intend to do that, but we want to really spend some quality time on Slammiversary. We get a recap of Mickey winning the title, which I called that. And they're also still kind of hinting that she's kind of turning heel here. She's out to celebrate becoming the Knockouts champ for the 3rd time. She thanks the crowd, plugs her album. She says there's a small handful of people who don't like the way she won the belt. Because she took out the injured knee of Velvet. But hey, man,
Win's a win.
A win's a win, and the belt's on the line. It's, that's... anyhow, then she asked Velvet to come out and address it. They hug and all that. Mickey is being really super fake nice here, though. And to me, that's kind of another sign of her imminent heel turn. Velvet says she wants a rematch at Slammiversary, and Mickey says she'd love to give it to her, but Brooke already has a knockouts match set, and I don't know why you can't have 2 knockouts matches on a pay-per-view, but it's already set for Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell in the Top Contenders match, last knockout standing. Then out comes Gail Kim, and she starts talking. Sounds like nails across a chalkboard. Then Gail and Velvet get into a verbal altercation. Gail tries to wrap her around the post like she's been doing to people, and Mickey does absolutely nothing about it, but Taryn Terrell comes out for the save. Then we get Taryn Terrell and Chris Sabin versus Gail Kim and Kenny King. Not bad at all, really.
I never liked the mixed gender tag matches.
I'm not a big fan of them either, especially because, they're kind of pointless because...
Too gimmicky.
Yeah, and the men and women can't fight each other anyway, so what's the point in having a tag team match?
Yeah.
Because as soon as, a girl tags in, the other guy has to tag out. So why not just have 2 singles matches? It doesn't even make sense to have a tag match. But yeah, Sabin pins King for the win there. Then he gets on the mic, talks about Slammiversary. King jumps him. Out comes Suicide. Takes out King and then faces off with Sabin. Sting does a spot for Slammiversary. Then we get Ken Anderson against AJ Styles. A pretty decent match. Then Angle comes out and attacks AJ, and then the Aces and Eights attack both of them. Then out come Joe, Magnus, Sting, and it just turns into a brawl. Sting and Bully go at it, and Sting gets Bully in the Scorpion, but Devon hits him from behind there, and they do a 3D on Sting. The Aces stand tall as Impact signs off the air.
We're getting closer.
Yep, getting closer. That does it for Impact, and I guess we're going to go to SmackDown next.
SmackDown, I think that's the next one.
All right, SmackDown it is. SmackDown. All right, Friday Night SmackDown from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
And we're going to sprint through this one.
Yeah.
Full-on sprint.
Yeah, and we may do that in the future a lot with SmackDown because we're starting to feel like with SmackDown and Raw, we're basically covering the same show twice a lot of weeks. So SmackDown from here on out may be almost strictly a results thing. We'll touch on it a bit, and if there's anything of real importance, of
something
course,
cool happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss it. But it seems like with covering Raw and SmackDown every week, we're almost just seems like repeating a lot of things.
Is there a thing as too much WWE?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't want to be like a WWE highlight show.
We are a wrestling show.
We're a wrestling show. We want to make sure that all the events get covered, and we'd actually like to add a couple more promotions, but you can only do so much in an hour. But anyway, here we go with SmackDown. First match of the night is Sin Cara versus Curtis Axel. Just okay. Axel wins by pinfall. Then we get Big E Langston versus Del Rio, and Big E Langston gets the win here. Langston looks like they're going to give him a serious push here.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah. You can still tell he's green, but, for a big guy, he's actually starting out pretty good, I think. Then we have Ryback versus Kofi Kingston.
Squash.
Yeah, squash. And we have to mention
the 3 tables.
Yeah, the 3 tables. And it's funny because Ace saw SmackDown before I did this week. I DVR everything. And he said, man, you got to see SmackDown at least where Ryback put Kofi through 3 tables. You'll love it. And I thought, man, that's going to be good. But it was even better than I thought, because when you said 3 tables, I thought you meant there were 3 stacked on top of each other, and he like threw them off, out of the ring onto him or something.
That would have been cool. Like, but I think what
the way he did it was even better. He threw him through one, went and got another one, set it up, threw him through that one, went and got another one, threw him through a third one. Yeah, that was great, man.
And everybody was chanting, "One more time."
Yeah, one more time.
It's like, fuck Kofi, get him out of here. Which they are trying to make Ryback look strong, and they are doing a good job.
Yeah. And then we get Jericho versus Cody Rhodes. Pretty solid here.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho wins by submission.
I'm just glad Jericho's winning.
Yeah. Then did you catch the vignette for this Wyatt family?
Do you want to discuss that now, or do you want to wait till Raw?
We can touch on that on Raw, I guess, because they run it again for Raw.
Yeah.
Then we get your boy Randy Orton versus Dean Ambrose.
Probably my 2 favorite guys right now.
Yeah, I bet you were real torn.
Mixed emotions.
And of course, he doesn't win by pin, but still Randy doesn't lose.
That's right.
And I was sitting there during that match wondering, well, now if Orton goes over on Ambrose here, I wonder how Ace is going to feel, because you bitched and moaned like I did when everybody was going over on Cesaro as U.S. champ. And I'm just sitting here wondering, is it going to be okay for Orton to go over on Ambrose as U.S. champ? Is he going to be all right with that because it's Orton?
Well, I'm kind of mixed, honestly, about that, because I still think Orton needs to get back into that heavyweight title picture soon. But I think it should have been one of those finishes to where, like, the ref didn't see it and Ambrose gets the win, something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If Ambrose went over on Orton clean, I would have lived. I would have been okay. I admit it.
Hypocrite. All right. Anyway, Orton gets the win by DQ. He gets jumped by Rollins and Reigns and Ambrose after the match. But that pretty much does it for SmackDown. So now we are going to move on to Slammiversary.
All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Boston, Massachusetts, live. We have, and how coincidental, our 11th show, the 11th anniversary of Slammiversary. So here we go. The pay-per-view starts out with a little video package running over the history of TNA, which is interrupted by Bully Ray talking about how basically he's going to end the era of Sting and put down the icon once and for all, because this is Sting's last title shot in TNA.
If he loses.
If he loses. Yeah. So we started off with the X Division Championship and an Ultimate X match. Kenny King, the champion, versus Chris Sabin versus Suicide. A lot of high-flying stuff here.
Yeah.
A lot of good, big, exciting spots. I love the Tower of Doom spot. Suplex and powerbomb combo from the corner. A lot of good action here.
Yeah.
Really good opener. Kenny King playing the classic heel. I mean, he teases getting in the ring, but doesn't. He gets in, then gets out, starting out. A lot of back and forth action, and Chris Sabin picks up the win here to become the new X Division champion. What do you think about this?
I thought it was really good. A very entertaining opening match. And I'm wondering who is playing Suicide this time around.
He looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. I'm wondering if it's not Rudy Switchblade from OVW.
Yeah.
Because and I've been trying to watch him closer since he did this, but when he did the dangling in the ropes move, that's a signature move of Rudy's.
Yeah.
And if you're an OVW fan, you know that. Now, it could just be something he borrowed from him, because it seems like I saw another TNA guy do it a couple months back, and I thought he snagged that from Rudy Switchblade. And now I'm wondering if maybe it's that guy, but I can't remember who it was who did it. But somebody else did it other than Rudy. But I don't know. It could. We'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it. But yeah, I thought it was a really solid match, and
we kind of knew Chris Sabin probably was going to win this match.
Yeah. And he was busted open at the end, and that actually happened when he was coming back down into the ring after getting the belt.
Because
the belt smacked him in the face.
He was hanging upside down when he managed to grab the belt, which is cool.
Yeah, it was totally accidental and legit. He smacked himself in the face with the belt and busted himself open. And then good Hogan match. Has to come out and ruin the moment.
And the whole time we were like, really?
Yeah.
This guy just won the title, and now you're going to come out and steal his thunder, his spotlight?
Really?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Then what does he have to say? All the Hulkamaniacs here in Boston, let's pretend it's 1985 because we can't let it go.
Yeah.
But then he gets into the ring, and then he's confronted by some members of Aces and Eights, Mr. Anderson, Briscoe, and Bischoff, and then
proceeds to cut probably the best promo I've ever seen Hogan cut.
We're not scared of ghosts, we're not afraid of terrorists, and we're not afraid of you three pussies wearing leather.
Yeah, the ghosts, I was kind of like...
Where's he going with this? Oh!
Funny. Is there a connection between Ghostbusters and... I thought Ghostbusters took place in New York.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. But anyhow, I don't know what the scared of ghosts thing was about, but the pussy reference, and then he flipped him off. He had three fingers up and flipped... I didn't expect that out of Hogan.
Then he bitch slaps Bischoff and then says,
calls him a bitch.
You're a bitch and your father's a bitch. And it's just like... And then he goes, that was actually the best promo Hogan's ever cut.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it was.
I've never even liked Hogan, but he had me hysterical.
Because at first we were like, oh, God. Hogan.
Yeah, oh, God.
Then we were laughing and more or less clapping.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, go Hogan.
Then he sets up the Aces and Eights of Anderson, Briscoe, and Bischoff versus Samoa Joe, Magnus, and Jeff Hardy.
I have to point out here, it was supposed to be Doc, Bischoff, and Briscoe. What happened there?
I was wondering that too when we were watching it.
I mean, Anderson is the better worker.
Yeah.
So maybe that was just that
last minute decision.
Yeah. But anyhow,
a lot of good action here.
Yeah, good match.
Good match. Crowd was pretty excited for Hardy. When you say,
oh yeah, I mean, we're not huge Hardy fans, but a lot of people are.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying the guy sucks. I just always thought he was a bit overrated.
Yeah.
And
he botches quite a bit.
Yeah, too worried about always doing the high spot, and just the silly dancing and stuff.
And then he had to do like those pelvic thrusts in the middle of the ring during the match. It's like, do we really need that? But, everybody got a little bit of offense in. Everybody got their chance to shine a little bit, and...
good quality match. I enjoyed it.
It's a swanton for the win. Of course, that crowd was anti-Aces and Eights. They were booing them out of the building.
Yeah.
Which, it was a pretty good match, but as good as that was, it's just getting better. It's just getting better.
That's right.
So Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, and Magnus win that match. Then we have Jeremy Borash backstage with Joseph Park. Park is talking about... Well, first, before that, we had a Sting recap. Let's mention that. The first of many Sting recaps from his previous pay-per-view matches. This one was from Bound for Glory 2006. But anyway, so Borash is interviewing Park, and he's talking about tonight being the 11th anniversary of TNA and how tonight is also its 1 year anniversary with the company. Then Devon, and is it Knox? Nux?
They're calling him Nux. That's his
Mike
nickname,
Knox,
but it's
right?
Mike Knox.
Okay.
Yeah, he was... and Wes, our friend, was watching it with us, and I was like, "Do you remember Mike Knox?" I was like, "He was with the WWE version of ECW.
Yeah.
He was Kelly's jealous boyfriend. When she'd come out and do her little strip tease, he'd come out and cover her up and drag her away. And he it might have rung a bell, but he didn't quite remember. But yeah, he's Mike Knox. But yeah, they're calling him Nux. But anyhow.
Then him and Devon proceed to beat the holy shit out of Joseph Park. Which was hilarious.
Yeah, I enjoy watching Joseph Park get beat up.
Who doesn't?
He's so good at it.
Yeah. Then we have a gut check tournament final match with two OVW guys.
That's right
here.
Two OVW guys got a
Jay Bradley and Sam Shaw.
That's right.
Pretty good. Not bad.
Not bad at all. And it was just really exciting to see two of our hometown boys get a pay-per-view match. You know, not a dark match. I mean, right in the middle of the pay-per-view. That was cool.
And then we go backstage, and Boras is with Aries and Rude reminds everyone he was the longest reigning TNA champion, and Austin Aries reminds everyone that he cast in the X Division title to beat Rude for that title, which that was pretty fun last year. That was pretty fun.
Yeah. You forgot to mention that Jay Bradley got the win in that match.
I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself. Yes, Jay Bradley did get the win. But Rude tells Storm that Gunner might be his tag team partner tonight, but he is no Bobby Roode, which they were beer money together several years ago, Rude and Storm. And then we have Devon with Nux versus Joseph Park for the TNA title, but there's a little bit of a twist on this.
Yeah, Joseph Park doesn't come out, is nowhere to be found. His music hits, but he doesn't come out. The ref starts the 10 count. He gets counted out. Winner, Devon. After the match, Devon gets on the mic and said Park didn't have what it takes, just like his brother Abyss. Devon says it's time for them to head to the...
we're going to have some beers and party with some strippers.
Yeah, this is beers.
Yeah.
This is some beers.
And he makes a New York Knicks reference, knocking the Boston, Massachusetts
which is
fans.
really stupid because the Knicks. I mean, if
they've been eliminated.
Yeah, if they were still alive in the playoffs, it would mean something maybe that they beat Boston, but who cares because the Knicks got eliminated in the next round anyway.
Yeah.
So, you don't really have any room to brag there. But anyhow, this somehow turns into Abyss's music hitting and Abyss coming out and challenging for the television title, which Abyss, as we know, is Joseph Park, Chris Park, whatever you want to call him. And like I said, more and more they're starting to kind of make it seem like you're supposed to know that. There for a while they were trying to sell that they were actually two different people. But now I think you're supposed to kind of know that Joseph Park is kind of a psycho with split personalities.
Which it could be pretty cool. If they
I mean, it's nothing that hasn't been done before.
That mask kind of looked cheesy this time.
The Abyss mask, I don't...
It's like they just threw it on him as he's running out to his ring.
And I mean, I can kind of understand it for his benefit because he can probably see out of it and breathe out of it better. But it's almost like a cheap foam version of the original mask. But, Abyss to me was always kind of a combination of Kane and Mankind anyway. Not the most original character in the world. And, I mean, I guess he's not bad, but they even put the belt on him there for a while, and to me, he's not world title material.
But it seemed like that WWE tried to copy Samoa Joe when he was hot back in 06 and 07.
Oh, absolutely, with Umaga. Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, no doubt about it.
So we got a new TNA television champion, which is Abyss. So Taz is very disgusted by this win. He says, I'm getting a headache out here, and I had a headache listening to his commentary all night.
Taz is horrible. I've never liked Taz. I wasn't a fan of him as a wrestler, but I'm really not a fan of him as a commentator. I was glad when he left WWE, but then he just showed up in TNA. It's like, gosh, still got to listen to him. He just, I don't know. I have a trouble listening to him talk. But
then we have another recap, or I guess you would say flashback.
Abyss gets the win, wins the television title.
Yeah. We get another flashback of another Sting heavyweight title match, defeating Kurt Angle at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view in 2007.
Yeah, and with him showing all these moments, like you said, it almost seemed like they're kind of trying to hint that maybe he was going to win it, but I kept saying no way. Because I'm saying it now, I'm sticking to it. I think it's going to be AJ Styles that takes the title. He called it. I'm saying it right now, and it might be 6 months from now. But I think it's going to be Styles. Styles is going to be the guy that takes the belt off Bully Ray for sure.
Then it's time for the second inductee in the TNA Hall of Fame. When Dixie Carter comes out to the ring and all of the TNA roster and staff members all come out to the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
And who is it going to be?
Kurt Angle, which I don't have a problem with, but I still don't understand why it's not Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, we were calling Jeff Jarrett.
I thought
right before.
I thought Jeff Jarrett should have been before Sting. Because
he played a pivotal role.
Yeah,
in the
Sting probably a more iconic wrestler, but I'm a Jeff Jarrett mark. I've always thought Jarrett was terribly underrated.
Mm-hmm.
People who criticize, I think Jarrett deserved every title he ever had. I think he was a really good wrestler,
hard worker,
had charisma. I've never understood the criticism of him, and sure. Sting may have had the bigger career as far as just being a larger-than-life character.
But he had it before he got to TNA.
And held multiple titles. But that's the thing. It's the TNA Hall of Fame, and there's no one wrestler more important to the history of TNA than Jeff Jarrett.
Right.
So why he wasn't the first guy was beyond me, and I'm really stumped that he's not the second guy. Maybe they've offered it to him and he doesn't want to be for some reason yet. I don't know. But I don't have a problem with it being Kurt. And he's been with TNA for several years now and accomplished a lot. A lot of people probably still think of him as a WWF guy. But, I mean, he's been with TNA for a number of years now. And by choice, So, yeah, no problem with Kurt. I think Jarrett needs to be in there.
Well, we get a video package of Kurt, and he kind of tears up.
Yeah.
Then we go on to another flashback of Sting defeating Samoa Joe, Bound for Glory 2008, to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, which I'm still thinking Sting's going to get it. But then one of my favorite moments of the night is when they had the interview with Bad Influence, Kazarian and Christopher Daniels backstage, and they're basically knocking James Storm and Gunner, and Kazarian goes, "You've got tattoos of dragons, you've got tattoos of skulls, you've even got tattoos of dragons eating skulls." I about lost it. These guys right now are my favorite tag team in the business. They're the total package.
They're very entertaining and good wrestlers at the same time.
It was great. Then we have, which I consider one of the three big main events.
Yeah.
It's the TNA Tag Team Championship 4-team elimination match with Chavo and Hernandez, Rude and Aries, Kazarian and Daniels, Storm and Gunner. And boy, did this live up to expectations.
Yeah, and I'm so glad they made it elimination, not just one fall. That makes it so much better in my opinion. Just great match.
Crowd was into it.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment.
No, not at all. It just, and there again, our friend that was watching it with us, he was like, I never cared for Chavo. I'm like, well, but Chavo as a WWF guy or WCW guy, he was always a clown. Watch him. Just watch him go. And he didn't really have any criticism for him after that.
He likes to criticize things. Yeah, he didn't criticize this.
And I swear, I think Chavo is
the best he's ever been.
I think he's better than ever right now. And TNA just, and that's the thing. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that one of the criticisms I keep hearing about TNA is that they push WWE rejects. Well, let me tell you something. Some of these guys are not rejects. I mean, just because you switch companies doesn't make you a reject. And, back when I was growing up watching wrestling, there were, there's what they call the big three: NWA, AWA, and WWF. But there were also tons of other that's when the territories were still in their,
relevant.
Yeah, they were still alive and going. There were so many promotions, and guys jumped around from place to place all the time. It kept them fresh because, you didn't want to stay in one territory for too long because people get bored of you. So you'd move on to the next territory for 6 months, then come back, and you'd be, popular again or whatever. just because you switch companies doesn't make you a reject. And just because they push those guys doesn't mean that they're jockeying WWE or anything like that. It's just, hey, he's a good wrestler. WWE didn't know what to do with Chavo. So, I think he's shining brighter than ever. And,
he looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
Too. And Hernandez
fantastic.
does too.
And
all 8 of these guys just look phenomenal.
Yeah. So to me, anybody who watched this pay-per-view and is still talking crap like that, you're just a WWE fanboy mark. Sorry. Anyway.
Calm down over here. The best is yet to come. So Daniels and Kazarian, they're eliminated first.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I would have liked it to come down between those two and the eventual winners.
And then very quickly after that, what a shock! Chavo and Hernandez.
Outgo the champs. So right there, there's going to be new champs crowned.
Yeah. And these 4 put on pretty like a whole nother match.
Yeah,
I mean they started all over again.
Yeah.
And Storm and Gunner get the win. Gunner hits the torture rack on Aries.
Yeah.
And that's it. New tag team champions.
Yeah.
Which was hell of a match.
And, I heard afterwards that Storm, everybody knows that, well, we know, most people know that Storm is legit hurt still.
Yeah.
And
you can tell he wasn't in the match as much as...
No, and I heard he was hurting real bad after the match. And even before the match, he said he was only about, 75%. He was supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks when he pulled that groin, and he didn't take any time off at all, hardly. I think he was out maybe 1 week, and he was back wrestling. So just shows you, what kind of guy Storm is and how much he loves the biz.
Then we go to the last knockout standing number 1 contenders match between Taryn Terrell and Gil Kim with ODB as the guest referee.
Yeah.
Now, usually this would be the spot to where
Go get a beer
or take a urination break. But I'm glad that we didn't, because we got one hell of a women's match right here. Maybe the best women's match I've seen
in recent memory,
at least the last 8 to 10 years.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, it was fantastic. And
these girls put it all out there.
Yeah, they really did. And the crowd could see that too. The crowd was when you hear the first time ever, seriously. I mean, maybe in Ring of Honor, but anywhere else, this is the first time I've ever heard a "This is awesome" chant during a women's match, and they deserved it.
Spots outside the ring on the floor,
amazing. And I'd never say that about a women's match. I mean, I really don't, because typically, and this is nothing against the girls. I mean, they put their heart and soul into it too, and they give it their best effort. But typically, in general, the girls just aren't as fluent and coordinated in the ring as the guys.
These two are on point.
They really, and Gail, we've always known Gail can wrestle, but I tell you, I've really been impressed with Taryn. I really have. Taryn Terrell for a rookie is just fabulous, man. Yeah. And they put on a hell of a match in that. Was she like a stunner off the ramp onto the floor?
Like yeah.
I mean, the place went nuts.
Yeah,
went nuts. It was. I mean, like I said, probably the best women's match I've seen in a decade.
Yeah.
As far as from the two bigger promotions, Ring of Honor, you see some pretty good women's matches, but even they would have a tough time outdoing this match. It was good. It was really good.
Then Taryn Terrell gets the win, so now she's the number 1 contender for the Knockouts title. Then we have another video of Sting defeating Mr. Anderson to become the TNA champion in July of 2010, but that's enough of that. Let's get ready for this right here. Wrestling at its most pure and finest. AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle. And if there were any doubts about if Kurt Angle could still go, those questions were answered, and very fast.
Yeah.
These two put on a near classic clinic.
I
mean, near fall, submission. I mean, and what about when he was going for that suplex off the top rope and Styles got out of it and flipped back onto his feet halfway across the ring, and we stood up out of our chairs and it's just like, this is one of those matches where like you don't even have to be emotionally invested on either guy. You just love to enjoy watching great wrestling.
Yeah, I didn't even care who won.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that good that it just, man, this is awesome. Yeah. It's one of those matches, and not that you really forget, but it's just one of those matches that it reminds you of why you loved wrestling in the first place.
You don't want it to end.
Yeah.
You really don't want it to end.
They could have gone for another 15 minutes and I'd have been fine with it.
Yeah.
And some people, your average fan may just find a match like this somewhat boring.
Yeah.
But if you're a real, true wrestling lover and wrestling purist, this is right up your alley. Great match. And if you haven't seen the pay-per-view, I definitely recommend getting it on the replay.
Yeah. Angle looked on top of his game.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, and help.
Styles looked phenomenal.
I said
no pun intended.
I said Angle was, about done probably 4 or 5 years ago. And man, like you said, the man still has it, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been more wrong. Maybe he's slowed down, but who doesn't when they get up in their 40s or whatever, man? But still better than most wrestlers on the planet.
Yeah, and kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle gets the win with a quick roll up.
Angle goes over on Styles, which I was a bit surprised there, but it was such a good match, and Kurt. Especially, it kind of made sense because he's just got inducted into the Hall of Fame or whatever, about to, and losing to a guy like Kurt Angle doesn't really hurt anybody.
Well, yeah, I agree.
And Styles looked really good in the match, so I don't think it really takes anything away from AJ there.
Then we have coming up next soon is the main event: Bully Ray versus Sting, and Bully Ray's cutting a promo about how he's going to use the Piledriver to end Sting's so-called career, basically.
And I like how he referred to it as like the most devastated, feared move in wrestling.
Vince doesn't even allow it.
It doesn't allow it. But that's one of the reasons we chose that as part of our name, because it just it sounds cool, but it's also it's been a banned move
because it's still wrestling
in many promotions for many years. From time to time, the Piledriver's been banned. It was even banned in Ring of Honor of all places for quite some time, which I think they lifted the ban on it. But yeah, we kind of did that as partially, not completely, but partially, kind of say screw you to the WWE, but anyway.
So we got a no holds barred match here, and I tell you, hey, these two guys told a great story. A lot of good physical, intense action here. Bully Ray hits the Piledriver after some back and forth action. They exchange some chair shots. They get outside the ring. He hits the Piledriver. Sting kicks out. Then he rips off the canvas of the ring, exposes the bare plywood or the wood, whatever it was. Piledriver Sting on that, still kicks out. And I'm thinking Sting is going to take this title. He even put Sting through the table at some point during the match and kicked out of that. And then what happens? We have some visitors storm the ring.
Well, of course, out come the Aces and Eights. And
interfere, basically.
Yeah.
When Sting fights them all off.
Sting grabs Bischoff and launches him over the top rope. Devon throws a chain in the ring, and Sting catches it and hits Ray with it.
Or Devon.
Or
clocks Devon.
Yeah.
But then they throw in the ball peen hammer.
You're right. The hammer seems like their weapon of choice.
I'm getting tongue twisted because this is so awesome. And then Bully Ray clocks Sting with it, and that's the 1, 2, 3 count. Bully Ray retains the title. Yeah,
which I called. I wanted Sting to win, but I knew he wouldn't. And yeah, now he can't challenge for the title anymore, but he doesn't really need to. And come on, things like this get overturned in wrestling all the time. So if a year from now they wanted to put Sting in a title match, they can. Hulk Hogan made an executive decision. Nothing's written in stone in wrestling, man.
Well, I must say this pay-per-view, in my opinion, they made a statement.
They really did.
I don't know what that statement is yet. We don't know what it is yet, but we'll see. Hopefully it's in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, I think one statement they're definitely making is that they're not
Sports entertainment.
They're not sports entertainment, they're wrestling. And we love that.
Yeah.
And they're not so much PG.
Yeah. And did you notice every match on that card had some kind of backstory, had some kind of angle.
Right. There's a reason for these guys to be fighting other than, Teddy Long coming out saying, okay, well, you guys are out here talking smack to each other, and so you're in a match tonight, and that sets off a feud. That seems like how the only way WWE knows how to start feuds anymore is that, one guy comes out, starts talking about the other guy comes out, then the GM comes out and says, all right, well, tonight y'all are fighting each other. And, I mean, that's not how it's done.
This was better than WrestleMania.
Far better, in my opinion. And people can call me crazy, say what you want. Watch both pay-per-views back-to-back and tell me which one's better. Personally, I think this is better than any pay-per-view WWE's put out in years. TNA, I've been saying it for a while now. I think they're heading in the right direction.
Please don't screw it up.
Yeah, try not to screw it up because we're really enjoying where it's going. And I think the fact that they're only doing 4 pay-per-views a year now is brilliant. I think that's plenty. I think that's the right amount. Maybe throw in a 5th if you want, but monthly pay-per-views are just, to me, overkill. They make the pay-per-views not seem as important. Pay-per-view is supposed to be like a big event, and this really had that feel to it. And I think that's one of the reasons the matches were so superb, and everybody just put it all out there because, hey, we're only doing this 4 times a year now. So it's more important to the wrestlers and the fans.
And it's easier on their bodies and their careers.
Yeah. TNA's making a lot of good moves, and another good move I think they made was getting out of the Impact Zone and going out on the road every week. And not too far down the road, we're going to be going to see it, so hopefully we'll get a really good impact there. But, yeah, we feel like they're making all the right steps, and we just hope they keep moving in that right direction. And
good job, TNA.
Yeah, way to go, TNA. 2 big thumbs up. And wait a minute, I'm probably not allowed to say that. I think that's trademarked. But anyway, good job, TNA. And now it's going to be probably a little bit anticlimactic, but we're going
buzzkill.
Yeah, we're going to move on to Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
All right, here we go. Let's try to not suffer through this. Hartford, Connecticut, which as soon as I saw that, I thought, well, somebody named McMahon's probably going to be in the arena tonight.
Yeah, you think?
So the show starts out with Stephanie McMahon coming to the ring, which she does look good. I'll give her that.
Still looks good.
Then she's talking about how Triple H will not compete tonight, even though he was teased about competing against Curtis Axel in a rematch after what happened a couple weeks ago. And then she says, well, basically he's not going to compete, and it's not what you all want. He's my husband, the father of my kids, so basically y'all can screw off.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with Triple H on this, is, hey, he was medically cleared.
Yeah.
You have no right. If it was any other wrestler that was medically cleared, she wouldn't do that. She's trying to protect her husband, and it's bullshit.
Yeah. Then we have Vince McMahon making an appearance, and basically he's just going to take her side, which this whole segment was a complete and utter waste of time.
Pretty much.
Did nothing.
Yeah.
No statement made. Next, so we have the Shield comes out, interrupts the McMahons, and then we go to commercial, so what the fuck is this? And then it's Orton coming out and Kane and Daniel Bryan in a 6-man tag match, which was a good match.
Yeah, I mean,
it's getting to the point I'm ready for the Shield to feud with someone else.
Yeah, like it's like every week the Shield and Hell No.
I mean, Orton needs to go off on the World Heavyweight title hunt. Daniel Bryan and Kane probably need to split up. The Shield, Rollins and Reigns need to have a feud with another tag team, and Ambrose needs to have a feud with a U.S. Championship title contender. What are we doing here? I mean, don't get me wrong, Daniel Bryan looked phenomenal as always.
As always, yeah.
I mean, perfect. Best wrestler in the world, I'm saying it now. And the Shield, of course, gets the win after a big spear on Kane. A lot of good back and forth action, but we kind of seen it before.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan, after the commercial, was yelling in the locker room, going crazy about how he thinks he's the weak link, and everybody else thinks he's the weak link, and Kane and Randy Orton are trying to tell him he's not, and what the fuck is this? Then we have another commercial after Triple H walks like a hard ass into, where's McMahon's office? You don't know where McMahon's office is. How long have you been with the company? Slams his bag on the ground. I'm going out there tonight. And then there's a big scuffle and blah, blah, blah. And what'd you think of this?
I don't know. I mean, to me, Triple H doesn't need all this camera time, man. I understand to the point that I think they're trying to use him to kind of help push Henning. I think that's the motivation here. I hope, because other than that, it's pointless and just ball hogging, hot dogging. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, unless he's there to try and get over these younger guys and push them up to the next level, go away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my attitude as far as Triple H goes.
So Stephanie gets in the way of Triple H, and then there's just too many McMahons. And then how about Stephanie keeps calling him Paul? Like, that's just a slap in our face. Like, you know what I mean? That's just like, call him Hunter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know his name's Paul, but don't. It's like, I don't know. That just rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, we know K-Fab's dead, but
Yeah.
I mean, we still like to kind of pretend. Yeah, I mean, even the smart marks like us, we want to, pretend that this is all real. We know it's not, but
and that they're not acting.
Yeah, but
that's an insult to us,
right?
Like when they call him Paul, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So why don't you just call him Paul every week then?
Yeah.
Why keep
this
up
is serious? I'm going to call you Paul.
Yeah. Why keep up the Triple H facade? I mean, are you Triple H? Are you Hunter Hearst Helmsley? Are you Paul Levesque? Are you terrorizing? Or pick a name.
Then we have the Usos performing their tribal dance on the entrance ramp, and hold the phone, everyone. Michael Cole is going to explain to us after the commercial what their tribal paint means.
Yeah, thank you, Michael Cole.
Oh my God! Then we have primetime players versus the Usos. The Usos get the win. Oh God! Then we get Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo versus Big E with AJ, which Alberto gets the win here, and with the cross arm breaker, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Is that it?
Unless I can't be confusing it with. I was thinking maybe I confused it with SmackDown, but no, Big E won on SmackDown. Yeah.
See where it seems like it's the same show every week. Like the two shows are like confused. It's just like I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier.
And Sheamus versus Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow on commentary for this match, plugging JBL's wife's new book. It's just like, how far are we going to go with this nonsense? I mean, I just don't. They're not doing anything with Sheamus. They're not doing anything with Rhodes, and they're making Sandow look like a goofball.
They're doing magic tricks and shit. Yeah.
You're just gonna have to continue. I can't. I don't.
Sheamus gets the win over Rhodes. Like I said a couple weeks ago, man, I'm getting to where I can barely watch Raw. Then we get Fandango with Summer Rae. I'm going to skip over all that other silliness. Versus the Great Khali with Natalya and Hornswoggle, which another person we've talked about that they're just wasting is Natalya. That, who could blame Natalya if she wanted to go be a TNA knockout? Would that make her a WWE reject? I think not. And I know I've been harping on, how are you supposed to say that? I don't know. I keep stressing how I like the original girl but Summer Rae's starting to grow on
Me too.
I'm not gonna lie.
And we're digging Fandango still.
Yeah, Fandango.
But they'll probably screw him up just like everything else.
It's a funny, entertaining gimmick. But anyhow, surprisingly, Khali gets the win here, but by count out, Khali just kind of said to hell with it and left. It's not like he really lost. Then the one that really pisses me off, Wade Barrett versus The Miz. And, of course, once again, Barrett taps to The Miz. Why they keep doing this is beyond me. I'm not even going to bitch about it because it's pointless. I've said how I feel about it, so we'll move on from that.
We get to a halfway decent segment
The
here.
contract signing.
Which was fairly entertaining.
Yeah, Jericho's always funny. But, just kind of filler there, really.
Yeah.
He...
Basically, the match is on for payback.
Yeah. It's like you're thinking, is he like wanting Heyman to like bend over and shove it up his butt? I mean, he just sticks it in his
crotch region.
Yeah, his.
Then walks out like
the show.
That was kind of weird. It's kind of like, why are you smiling about shoving a piece of paper?
Yeah,
down
like
his
you did
crotch?
something amazing there.
Fans loved it.
Then we get the Bella Twins.
Oh yeah,
AJ Lee versus the Funkadactyls and Caitlyn. What do you think about this one?
Throwaway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everybody's hot in the ring, but that's about it.
Yeah, the more I watch Caitlyn, the less I like her.
Yeah.
She's like a female rhino or something. Like,
Yeah.
she does shoulder blocks, clotheslines, and spears, and I mean, she needs to kind of add some more moves to her repertoire there.
Maybe that's all she's got.
Could be.
I could give her something else.
And see, I don't find her that attractive either.
I do though.
I mean, she's not like ugly or nothing. Don't get me wrong. She doesn't really do nothing for me. Anyway, Funkadactyls and Caitlyn get the win.
Now let's talk about something interesting here, and this is this vignette for the
Wyatt
family.
I don't know, just kind of psychotic hillbillies or swamp people.
Kind of remembering the Godwins.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's funny you say that because they put me in mind of the Goblins, except the Goblins were a little sillier maybe, with the pig slop and all that stuff. But yeah, I thought of the Godwins too. It's funny you say that. These guys seem a little bit more twisted,
Edgier.
But yeah,
it could be cool. I mean,
it probably won't be.
Sure. Why even try to imagine anymore?
But then we get Daniel Bryan versus Ryback.
I thought this was a pretty damn good match.
It wasn't bad.
Daniel Bryan put the torque on that damn submission on Ryback's arm. He had that thing wrenched.
Yeah, I mean Bryan always looks good, and
And Daniel Bryan did wrestle 2 matches tonight, which I gotta give
and for a big guy, Ryback's not terrible.
He's not. He's getting better all around. Mike skills in the ring.
He doesn't look too awkward or nothing like some big guys. Like like the extreme of like Great Khali or something. He just can't move. But I mean Ryback's not terrible.
He puts Daniel Bryan through the table with the power bomb.
Yeah.
And then Superman comes to the rescue.
Yeah, Bryan wins by DQ. Cena just what
God help us.
Yeah.
Help us.
So that leads to Superman versus Curtis Axel, Joe Henning.
Henning did get some offense.
Yeah,
he did look good at times.
They're trying to push him without letting him win.
But it was a no DQ match. Even Cena got a drop kick into the chair into Henning's face.
Yeah. Like I said, they're trying to push Henning without letting him win. He's not losing, but he's not winning either.
Which is weird to me. It's like, what is that? I mean, I don't. It
doesn't
make any sense.
It makes him neutral. I mean.
You should have him start to squash nobodies and work his way
You
up.
have to make him. Yeah, you have to make him look strong somehow, and winning by count out or DQ is not the way to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Ryback lost every pay-per-view match up to now, but he's still over, so I guess they have some kind of idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know.
Then Ryback comes out after this match, or during the match, and then puts Cena, spears him through the angled table on the barricade outside the ring, which I jumped down in my seat for that. So, winner via countout, again, second week in a row, Curtis Axel over John Cena, which at least Cena's losing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that does it for Raw. Nothing special. And now, real quick, we're going to move on to This Week in Wrestling History.
This week in wrestling history.
Okay, This Week in Wrestling History, and I have to give credit to my boy Ace Larson here. This week, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of at a loss. I was like, because I was really busy this week, and I didn't have a lot of time to, look into my encyclopedia or whatever, or go back in the memory banks of my brain and pull out a history lesson for this week. And right away, Ace says, well, this was the week that the Nexus came out on Raw.
2010.
And yeah, and really, which is interesting, good thing to touch on, because the Nexus, to me, was one of those things that could have been great that they kind of dropped the ball on. Started out with a lot of steam, but then what did they do? They started jobbing them out to everybody. And then there was like Wade Barrett's Nexus, and then there was CM Punk's Nexus. They're almost two different groups, really.
Yeah. Because
remember, Cena, Superman, was single-handedly taking out every Nexus member.
Yeah, and then remember he was part of Nexus for a little while, but they
because
fucked before then anyway.
Because they forced him to be. He lost a stipulation match
against Barrett, wasn't it?
Yeah, where he was forced to be a member of the Nexus, and the whole thing was just stupid.
Well, they lost all their momentum when the Team Nexus lost to Team WWE at SummerSlam that year. That's when it all fell south.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do that. I think they kind of learned a lesson there, and that's why they pushed the Shield so strong.
And that was so cool.
They
came out and destroyed Cena. They're hitting all their finishers.
And where it was different, than most other factions like the NWO or DX or really any faction before them. The thing that made them different was that they were all rookies. They were all guys that they might have been in the independents.
Yeah. But WWE fresh faces.
Yeah, they were all fresh, new faces, a group of young guys hungry, just willing to do whatever it took. And some of those guys have moved on to good things. I mean, Ryback with, Skip Sheffield, he was an original member. Darren Young, who's now one of the primetime players.
Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan.
He was only in it for that one episode, and he got fired. Yeah. Still not sure if that was a work or what, but
Justin Gabriel, which is on the full-time roster.
And Heath Slater.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they're all still there and everything. But, then it turned into
Team WWE.
Punk's Nexus, which, then it was Joe Henning.
The white guy, which was Husky Harris.
Not Bo Rotundo, but Husky Harris, which is, I think his name is Wyndham Rotundo. I think he's named after Barry Windham, who is Mike Rotundo's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So
and David Otunga and Mason Ryan.
Yeah.
Was that all of them? Which Henning was Michael.
Otunga was an original too, but I think he did carry over. Because remember, a couple of them got pissed off at Punk and left, and then went to SmackDown and became the Core.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like the Core was almost like the original Nexus, and then you had the Nexus.
It just got all fucked up.
It got so convoluted, and they, like I said, they just really dropped the ball on that. I thought it could have been a really good angle. But anyhow, that's pretty much the show for this week. Don't forget, we have the email address set up. It's tpwshow@gmx.com. We'd love to hear from you. Whether you got questions, comments, topics you would like us to discuss on the show, anything, just drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. And that pretty much does it for this week's show. For my co-host Ace Larson, I am Electric Eric Davidson. We'll see you next time.